Howdy once again, it's Mr. Pete, your YouTube shop teacher, and this is episode number 50 of my This and That series. I have an awful lot to cover in this episode. Stick with me, probably too much for one episode. First of all, let me tell you that coming up soon, depending on when this video is viewed by you, I have a three-part video on making paperweight anvils in different sizes from 3D printed patterns, aluminum ones, and lead. So let's get started. And there will be some updates here and gifts by viewers and so on. Now, in a recent video I talked about these armature chucks, and there was a misunderstanding when I said these didn't come this way. And what I meant by that, and I've owned these before, but again, this is a brass jawed armature chuck by Jacobs with a number 2, and I said that this doesn't belong in there, and I was correct, and it doesn't belong. This is a more modern ball-bearing, wonderful super chuck by Jacobs with a number 3. What would have come in here would have been a standard chuck like this with a number 2, because this is a number 2. Let me show you in the original Atlas book. This is a page out of the 1950 Atlas catalog. You can pause your video if you have a notion to read that. It's pretty interesting. But that is it in the original box. You don't see very often. The box is beat up. Enough on that. I had a guest last week. His name was Russell McClenning. He doesn't live too far from me, and he just wanted to come over to visit and brought me a couple gifts. Now, this is a Lufkin inside micrometer, the kind that you would probably use in rebuilding engines, because it has the different rods in it for checking cylinder size, or I should say bore size. But in here, this is hard to get out, is the head, and I'm leading up to something a little bit later in the video, because you can see how hard that is to read, but these rods interchange and allow you to put the micrometer down into the bore, the cylinder bore of an engine, no matter what the diameter is, from a tiny one to quite a large one. Well, and there's the original directions here telling what rods are in there. He says he no longer does engine work. He used to do a lot of it. And right now, one of the things he's doing is to turn down pens, and he gave me these beautiful pens in rosewood. One's a pen, one's a mechanical pencil. So thank you, Russell, and that is beautiful workmanship, just impeccable. And look at the beautiful grain in that rosewood, which I think is an endangered species in some countries. And the funny thing is, just yesterday I received in the mail a package containing these tools from one Mr. Jerry Wilson. Thank you, Jerry, who has given me several other things, and that'll be mentioned in one of them in another video. But among the things that he sent were, again, another, well, actually I got 3 of them here. Inside micrometer head. This, he claims, is a Starrett. It does not have any rods, but again, I'll get back to that. Here's some other interesting things. I had never seen a C-clamp like this. It's quick acting, so you move it into the position you want, and then it's quick acting. And it doesn't work real great. I'm sure it's patent pending. You'll never see another one. This is an interesting old die stock that has various dies built in and can be adjusted. I've seen these before, usually in the bigger size. I'm not sure how good they were. They certainly wouldn't have been high-speed steel. Questionable, but kind of a neat antique. And then I'm not sure what this is, but in this little tube here, you know, they always sold a lot of novelties years ago. You got your corkscrew, you got your screwdriver, you got your drill bit, all in one. Probably none of them are very good. I don't see the handle. Maybe something's missing. nor is there any name on it. But anyway, thanks, Jerry. Okay, now getting back to these three inside micrometers, let me tell you what this is all about. First of all, let's go up to the computer and I want to show you a picture. I think you all know Dale Derry from the channel Build Something Cool. Well, there I am at the Bash 2019 with my buddy, and he gave me a gift, and here it is. And yes, here it is. And what is it? Not an artillery shell, but this is a teaching aid, and it's not quite finished. It's a teaching aid on how to show people how to read an inside micrometer, because of course one of these is way too small to say, okay boys, all 24 of you, look up here, this is how you read one. That doesn't work, and that was what my micrometer teaching aids were all about. I think I've talked quite enough about them, but this is interesting. I put those graduations on there just with magic marker, but in a later video I hope to finish this off. Also the taper here for the graduation, in my estimation, is at the wrong angle, but maybe not. So it needs all the graduations on it, but other than that it works fine, and the workmanship on it is beautiful. But the funny thing is, remember, I'm traveling and I'm in California, and Dale gives this to me. Even the rods come out, look at that. There's only one rod, but so Dale comes up and gives this to me, and I think he had bought it that day at the flea market there at the Bash. But imagine that going into my luggage and going through not customs, but security. You know, they won't let you through with a hat pin. So that would have, in the x-rays, looked just like a bomb or something crazy, wouldn't it? So I gave it to Randy Richard, and I said, don't send it to me for about 2 months. And finally, there comes a package, and there it is. So you'll be seeing more of that. I think that's really neat. And thanks so much to Dale and to Randy for the follow-up. And yes, I was hesitant to include that in the video, but I got to get it out of my system because my anger is so great at them. All right. Many people keep asking me, where did you get this wonderful little fine point marker? And I use that in a lot of my videos for layout. It's just wonderful. But again, it was given to me by a man, by Doug Bollinger. And here's what it's called. I don't know where you buy them, but it's a pica marking tool. It's original, and it's 7 times. They come in different colors. He sent me 3 of them. I absolutely adore this item. I don't know if that means anything to you, but maybe you can find them. They're made in Germany. Maybe you can find them on Amazon. But get yourself some. These are really neat. You can even hold it in your pocket. And in the same vein, Tony Perillo just sent me this Craftsman Four-Way Pen, but actually it's a screwdriver, and it's got the full lifetime warranty, you know, as long as Sears is around. Oh, that's right, they're gone already. But anyway, what this is, you clip it in your pocket, and you take the end off. That one's kind of tight, and there's a little screwdriver. It's magnetic, 2 different sizes, and then on the other end also 2 different sizes for relatively small work. So that's pretty awesome, and I thank you, Tony. I like trains, I like steam, so 2 months ago I went to Rochelle, Illinois to see the Union Pacific fully restored big boy locomotive come in. Extremely disappointed. I loved the engine, but I knew there would be hundreds of people there, but I didn't realize there would be thousands of people. You couldn't get anywhere near it. I couldn't even see the drive wheels, but it still was a thrill. I'm glad I went, and they blew the locomotive's whistle for like 2 or 3 minutes as they come in. It was quite an event, really, but I wish I had just stayed out on the highway someplace and observed it. There are a lot of other good videos on YouTube about the big boy. Look it up. You may have watched my 2 videos on Mr. Pete Goes Road Trip to Lumatank. Now the Alumitank factory is located in northern Illinois, almost into Wisconsin, and they make aluminum fuel tanks for semis, among other products. And that video is really interesting, but I've become fast friends with the two brothers, Kirkpatricks, that own it, Bob and Terry. And Terry recently sent me a nice batch of milling cutters that he's picked up, some either brand new or newly sharpened, so a little bit larger bore on this one than probably what I can use, but you might see some of these in the future when I use my clawsing mill. So thank you, Terry, for that. And Bob sent me something also, but that will be shown in another video. My next What Is It? One of the next ones. There's several that are still in the can. One Mr. Bill Corey, whose channel is the Carterberg Blacksmith, sent me a picture. He had recently been to the Ford Museum, and this nameplate was attached to a big old machine there, and it's called the Tubal-Cain Ironworks. So I thought that was kind of funny and unique, so thank you, Bill. Here's a sticker that was sent to me from Joe's shop, and Joe's been pretty helpful to me. He's sent me several things, so thank you for that, Joe. And along the same vein there, here is a little magnet type of sticker from the Super Wrench Garage. Thank you for that. Check out his channel. I have often mentioned over the years Scherr Tumico precision instruments, and I've had several of their micrometers over the years, and they really are of the highest quality, and they made optical comparators and a lot of other things, but I don't think they received the recognition they deserved, and I believe some of the Craftsman micrometers were made by them. But where does the name Tumico come from? Because in their larger micrometers, the frame is tubular. So the Tumico stood for Tubular Micrometer Company. So visualize a micrometer 3 foot in size, how heavy it would be if it was solid steel. So evidently they came up with the idea or the concept or the patents or whatever to make the frame hollow but yet incredibly rigid, and that reduced the weight and probably the cost. Let me show you one other thing, but the reason I'm telling you this is that recently a man by the name of Robert Wooden announced to me that Scherr Tumico went out of business, and that's a year ago, so actually this is old news. He thought it was new news, but they could no longer make it in the hostile taxes of this country plus the foreign competition. So they're gone, a name that has been around for a long time, and that always saddens me. And here's my relatively old model Scherr Tumico optical comparator with some work on the platen right now, which we'll talk about presently. You may remember a few videos back when I talked about these little brass governors, and I mounted one on one of my steam engines, and I couldn't find the proper tap to tap this. That was, well, I forgot what it was, but I made an adapter. Remember that? And there really was no need for me to make an adapter because my buddy Dave at Mercer Locomotive Works had made me this set some time ago, and he said, you know, there you are. You already have the 1/4 pipe thread right there in a tap and a die and clearly marked miniature pipe threads. But there's a lot of confusion, and I'm still not real sure myself. But if you go into the catalog for small engines, I forgot what it was called, there's a very good page on model pipe threads, but it's good, but I'm still confused. And Joe Kiefer recently sent me this set of 3 taps, and they're called 1/4 high-speed steel, or let's get that in focus again, 1/4 high-speed steel, but they were also special threads. Where are they at here? If I can get this open I always open the wrong side. I did again, but there they are. a taper plug and bottoming. And then he also sent me a die. Oh, that's where it is, at National Special, Unified National Special. But some of these interchange, but remember that the pipe threads are tapered, so you get a good seal. So now I'm able to work with some of these models. I should have known that, but you know, there's just a lot of threads. And if you ever look in the Machinery's Handbook, you're going to find, you know, 100 pages of thread. Very hard to absorb all that information and understand it, especially if you don't do it very often. And there's the thread that I'm actually talking about. Was that clear as mud? I have two different 1/4-20 taps on the optical comparator, and I don't think I'm proving anything by showing you this. I'm just doing it for the heck of it. But the top one is a 1/4 40 pipe thread that I got from Mercer Locomotive, you know Dave, and compared to the bottom one, and notice that the threads aren't very long on there because it's a pipe thread, pipe tap. The bottom one's from Joe Kiefer, and that's a 1/4 40 National Special. I thought that I would be able to tell some differences by magnifying like this, because I believe this is 55 degrees and this is 60 degrees, but I really can't tell. The magnification isn't great enough, but I just thought it was interesting to do. The other day, out of the clear blue sky, I received a package from down under, and it was from Peter Probst down in Melbourne, Australia. Quite unexpected, and it was an expensive gift, I believe. It came in this tube, and these are diamond tools. See if we can read that. Wow, black is hard to photograph. Well, I give up. But that's the tool holder. Oh, there we go. Diamond tool holder. There's a right and there's a left. Like that. Here is the little jig for grinding the tool bits, but included were 4 square pre-ground bits and 1 round one ready to go. Thank you, Peter, very much for this, and you're going to be seeing more of this winter in a later video, but I have to study up and learn how to use them. But supposedly they give you a really great finish, and he included in the package here from Eccentric Engineering, which is where I believe he bought them. Again, they're out of Australia, but there's the diamond tool holder, what it looks like, a description of its advantages, some little pictures here showing how to grind the tool. I think it might be on a website too. You can grind a threading tool, and in fact I have, or one of these is a threading tool, so maybe I'll thread with that sometime as well to show you how that works. But I'm kind of excited about this. Again, that is the way it holds the tool up to the work, kind of like you know, it's on the end is what it is. So what's exposed here is diamond shape, I guess, hence the name. And very nicely ground tools, a bunch of them. That's the one that actually appears as a diamond. So this is really neat. And I had seen these advertised in Home Shop Machinist over the years. Well, there it says Eccentric Engineering. That's what I couldn't get to focus a minute ago. The tool bit goes in. I'm just sticking it in. It might not be the right way, but it goes in. All right, I finally figured it out. That's how it goes in. Quite different than the way we're used to holding tools in a regular Armstrong type holder. Thank you, Peter, for a very expensive gift, and it is well appreciated. Some of you may remember last year when I went to Herky Hardware in LaSalle and I did some picking myself and saw some real old stuff, but of all things the pickers were there the other day, but I don't know why. They went out of business 6 months ago or more, actually a whole year, and I rode by this old building, and I had been in there many times with my dad years ago, but looking through the front windows you can see they're standing in an empty store. I mean, all the fixtures, all the shelving, everything is removed and it's been painted because they're trying to rent it out. So I do not know what was left to be picked. And anyway, go back and look at my video. I don't remember which one it is where I'm in that store. And I did tell you that at that time I looked in the cabinets where I had bought Brown & Sharp tools when I was young. And there were still some Brown & Sharp tools in there, but when I tried to look at them, the clerk said, no, these aren't for sale. So they were holding things back. I confronted her and I said, the big sign in the window says that everything is for sale to the bare walls. I was visibly annoyed. A few of you, and I do mean a few, watched my recent video where I changed the water heater. That was a waste of time, but anyway, we talked about the sacrificial anode, and it needs to be changed from time to time, but in fact nobody actually would, but that was what was left of mine. And originally they are a piece of aluminum about 3 feet long, but you're supposed to change those regularly. And raise your hand if you change yours. However, this water heater lasted 25 years, so the point is moot. As many of you know, I have several projects where I have drawings available, and a man by the name of Tolley in California does these drawings for me, and he recently changed his email address to what you see right here. And if you want drawings for any of these projects, contact him, and here are some of the drawings, and many of them are multiple parts for which there are drawings available. And there are even more than that, but I cannot locate them or figure out what projects they are, but I think there's some other engine models like you see down here at the bottom, wobbler engines and spool valve engines, and there's also drawings for those. Put it in the comments if you have anything to add to that. Well, that concludes this incredibly long issue of This and That. Hope you watched it all the way through because I had an awful lot of announcements. This is Mr. Pete saying so long for now, and I'll see you next time.